Yo, what's up? Welcome back to Shorty Mac TV. Thank y'all for tuning in to another one of my videos. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below, all that YouTube stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in and all the supporters thus far. Today's topic, I'm gonna talk about my spiritual awakening. When I first had my spiritual awakening, and I'm also gonna drop some signs that you might be experiencing a spiritual awakening. This probably should have been one of my first videos that I dropped, but oh well, I'm getting to it now. So first things first, what is a spiritual awakening? Now, a spiritual awakening is when you reach a level of consciousness, a higher level of consciousness and a deeper level of mental awareness. So it's like you basically reach a point in your brain where you up the level in consciousness. That's basically how I can explain it, y'all. You up the level in consciousness, and you will know this because like you start using more parts of your brain that you haven't used before, if that makes sense. So that's what a spiritual awakening is. And so I'm going to give you a quick story time about what sparked my spiritual awakening and how I got to the point where I'm in now. Because I know a lot of people be wondering like how I got to the point where I am now, how I get all the information that I have, or just, you know, how I get to the point that I am right now. So I'm just going to share that story time. So for me, I experienced my spiritual awakening probably like around this time last year. Now what sparked it for me was the end of a relationship. I came to a point in a relationship where it ended, and I like put so much effort into that relationship where it's like I put so much into that person more than I did myself. And I just got to a point where I didn't recognize who I was anymore. I started to question my existence, like why am I here? Why do I keep attracting certain type of people? And I just like got to a point where I was like, well, why am I here? Like, what is my purpose here on earth? And so then sparked this thing called angel numbers and synchronicity. So what synchronicity or angel numbers are, first let me break down what angel numbers are, because this is when I started seeing them. Angel numbers are a series of numbers that you kind of see like on a regular basis more than often. For me, it was the number 420. I started seeing that number quite a bit. And when I first started noticing it, I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought, you know, I'm some type of super stoner, you know, something like that. And so I didn't think nothing of it. So then I started seeing it more often than usual. Like for some reason, every time I look at my work clock, my phone, the time would always say 420. So I'm just like, something is up. Like, why do I keep seeing this number, 420? Something is up. So I looked into it. And and I came across what angel numbers are, and it's like, it's a sign from the universe trying to communicate with you, or, you know, let you know something. It's basically a sign of the universe, or, you know, communicating with you somehow through angel numbers and the repetition of angel numbers. Now, synchronicity is when you keep seeing those certain numbers over and over again. Now, synchronicity can also come in different forms and not just numbers. It could come, you know, when you, let's say you thinking about something and then you turn on the TV and whatever you was just thinking about is advertised in a commercial on the TV. And let's just say, you know, that same thing that was advertised in a commercial, let's say you go for a walk or a jog or something, and whatever was being advertised may be on someone's shirt or something. And that's, you know, what synchronicities are. Or if you ever been thinking about somebody and they just been on your heart, and then, you know, maybe 2 minutes later that person call you, that's synchronicity and stuff like that. So that started to happen more often. But so for me, when I'm seeing these numbers, and I'm just thinking like, okay, what's going on? So it didn't stop with 420. 420 was just the start. Like, that was when I just started noticing numbers. Then it came apart when it came a time when I started seeing numbers everywhere. I couldn't escape it. I would see 111-222 333 1111 444, all those type of numbers. And I might do a separate video explaining what the different numbers mean, the angel numbers mean. I might do that in another video. But yeah, so those numbers was kept coming up, and I kept looking into it, and I was just like, what is this? Like, why am I keep seeing these numbers? So then I started digging deeper, and I started coming across YouTube videos, and that's what I came across. Some of the people that I look up to: Spiritual Soul, Infinite Waters, and Enoch, and all these people. They helped me a lot through my spiritual journey. So I started watching the videos, and what they were talking about in the videos were stuff that I was experiencing as they was saying it in the video. So they would talk about certain things, and then I would start experiencing them, and I just thought it was so interesting. So those are some of the signs that shows that you're having a spiritual awakening. So angel numbers, seeing those, synchronicities. People say that they're coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. I call those synchronicities when stuff like that happen. Some other things that might happen that might spark a spiritual awakening for you is that you might be drawn to nature more. Because when I first started my spiritual awakening, for some reason I just was drawn to nature. I just always wanted to be outside. And still to this day, I am always wanting to go outside. I just love being out in nature. But when it first started, I would just go to the park, and I would try what everybody was talking about in those videos where they were talking about meditation. And I always knew what meditation was, but I never, just put any effort into doing it. So I started meditating at the park and stuff like that, and then I just started noticing like all this type of stuff that started happening. So I'm in nature, I'm meditating, and then I would start experiencing other stuff. So more signs that you're having a spiritual awakening. I started noticing bird feathers. Like I think the very first bird feather I saw was like when I was walking somewhere, and it was like under a tree or whatever. And then since then, I just started seeing bird feathers everywhere, different types, colors, by my car. It was just like I was finding them everywhere. So that's another sign that you're experiencing a spiritual awakening, if you start seeing bird feathers and stuff like that. You would also start experiencing a change in your diet. When I first started having my spiritual awakening, I realized that my body is a temple, and I need to be more cautious of what I put into my body. So I started removing meat out of my diet. I do not eat like meat, like pork. I eliminate that altogether. I don't eat pork. I still eat chicken here and there, here in a little salad and stuff like that. But I'm not too much eating meat a lot. I reduce that by a lot. And it's just, you just get conscious of what you put in your body, because you just realize that, your health is more important than everything. So you'll start drinking more water. I drink more water, eliminated meats out of my diet, fruits and veggies. I started, eating more of that and stuff like that. Another thing, fear would be eliminated out of your life. The concept of fear, you start realizing it's just a concept. It's a mental thing. Once you reach a certain level of consciousness, fear will be eliminated, and you will no longer fear. Fear. You will no longer. I meant to say death, you guys. Death is something that you don't fear anymore. But also fear will be eliminated as well. You don't be scared of anything as well. But in particular, you won't fear death. The whole concept of death becomes not so fearful. Sorry, y'all. But you kind of welcome death because you have a new concept of life. You see life differently, and that's just what spiritual awakening is all about. You see your perspective of a lot of things start to change. You see things differently, and you just look at life differently. So death to me, the way I see death, I don't fear it. I actually see it as being the biggest upgrade in life that you can get, because to transcend from from this this vehicle that we live in. I mean, this vehicle that we call our body, to transition from a body to an afterlife, to eternity. To me, that sounds like a great time. So I no longer fear death. That's something that I don't fear. Another thing that would start happening with your spiritual awakening is you have an increased empathy. You would sympathize for people more. You would, you wouldn't cast judgment at people because you realize that, you know, it it's just no point in being, casting judgment on people and negative and stuff like that. But yeah, you just start having empathy. I empathize a lot with a lot of people, and I think that's one of my strongest attributes about me. And a lot of people, they recognize that, and they appreciate me for being for emphasizing with them, because a lot of people, they just don't show empathy, and that's one of my biggest things. I have empathy for everybody. I just, you just have love for everybody. So yeah, that one is really key. Empathy. A lot of people don't have that. Let's see what else in the spiritual awakening that will happen. And just your awareness for everything. Your intuition will be heightened. You will start to trust your intuition more. That that voice in your head, your higher self that warns you about stuff, that gut feeling that you have. That's your intuition telling you about certain people, situations, or things that are happening around you. Trust that inner voice in your head. And I think that's it. I think that's all I got on a spiritual awakening. Those are some quick signs that you might be experiencing a spiritual awakening. If you guys have any other, things that you guys might have experienced that you are going through, you might think that you're having a spiritual awakening, comment below and let me know how you, what's your experience been, because everybody's gonna have a different experience. And you don't just have a certain point of spiritual awakening where it stops. It just keeps going. It never stops. So I'm still experiencing a spiritual awakening. I'm just going higher and higher in consciousness. So it never ends. But yeah, those are the signs, or that was my quick story time of what a spiritual awakening is. I thank y'all for tuning in to Shorty Mac TV. Please like, share, subscribe, comment below, and thank you guys for tuning in. Peace and blessings. Thank y'all.